Hi, and welcome again to Simply Fun's online school of playology. Save the Pie is a fun-packed cooperative game where players work together, performing actions and trying to help each other move across the board before Barry catches up with them. Tibber and the buddies need to save the pie by rushing the berries to the pie maker before Barry, represented by the hourglass timer, eats them all. Save the Pie can be played with as few as 2 to as many as 6 players, and everyone ages 6 and up can help Tibber and his friends save the pie. Inside the Save the Pie game box, you'll find one game board on which Tibber and his helpers will travel, and one action board that tells players what to do. There are also 5 wooden character pawns that represent the buddies, 3 berry tokens that players will use to decide what action they take, a 1-minute timer, that's Barry's hourglass, 1 6-sided die that determines what action the player takes, and 10 activity cards that players must do if they are unsuccessful in completing their action. Save the Pie builds collaboration skills as children learn how to succeed by working together. Fun activities in the game help young players develop fine motor skills too. The game incorporates action-based strategy involving all players, so there are no individual winners or losers. With teamwork, everyone wins. To start, lay the large game board in the middle of the table and place the character pawns on the berry patch space. Place the shuffled activity cards in a stack beside the board. Finally, put Barry's hourglass on either the easy, medium, or hard berry space on the board. If you're playing for the first time, it's recommended that you place it on the easy space. The starting player gets the action board, the die, and all 3 berry tokens. Play begins when Barry's hourglass is turned over for the first time. Taking turns, each player tries to move the character pawns across the board to the pie maker space. Each time the hourglass drains, it gets moved forward 1 space on the board and flipped over again. Players have to try to keep the pawns ahead of Barry's hourglass. To play, the first player rolls the die, and, as the die directs, the player then drops, flicks, pushes, slides, tosses, or blows a berry token onto the action board, where it lands on an action. The player must then perform the action on the board, like move one of the characters, take a shortcut, flip the hourglass, flip a character and hide, or bring bubbles and puddles together. A turn is over when the player has performed all 3 steps. Checking Barry's hourglass to see if sand remains, and if not, turning it over and moving it 1 space ahead. Rolling the die and using a berry token, and performing the action shown on the board. When the turn is over, the player passes the die, the action board, and the berry tokens to the next player, and play continues clockwise. If the active player's berry token lands on the action board, but does not land on or point at a task, it is set aside. Remaining tokens are passed on to the next player with the action board and die. When the last berry token is set aside, advance Barry's hourglass 1 space without flipping it over. Pass the action board, die, and all 3 berry tokens to the next player to start trying again. If the active player's berry token misses the action board entirely, the token is not set aside, but that player must draw an activity card and perform the activity described. This player then passes the action board, die, and berry tokens to the next player. Save the Pie ends when either all players win by getting all 5 character pawns to the pie maker space before Barry's hourglass, or 4 of the 5 character pawns reach the pie maker space and the remaining pawn is turned face down, showing the hidden side. Or all players lose if Barry's hourglass reaches a space occupied by 1 or more face-up pawns, or Barry's hourglass moves past a space occupied by a face-down pawn. With Simply Fun's Save the Pie, players help Tibber, Pickles, Digger, Bubbles, and Puddles get to the pie maker before our favorite bear gets all the berries.